Thanks for watching and welcome to this week's installation of our YouTube channel. This week we are doing the 10th movement of the 32 sword form. It is the second movement in the second sequence, and this is Green Dragon emerges from the water. It's also referred to as split with left bow stance, Green Dragon comes out of the water, Dragon rises from the water. You'll see this as we go through the movement in explaining this, but this particular movement here really gives a good feeling for a forward thrusting motion, and so that's really one of the core pieces of this particular form. So watch the demonstration and you'll see what I mean. So as we've said through this, so you're coming here from the previous movement, Black Dragon whips its tail. And so you're in an empty stance here. What you're doing here is you're stepping back behind, shifting your weight onto the right foot, bringing the sword back, sinking it down, and then extending it forward and turning it over. The Green Dragon emerging from the water here, really, if you look at this from the forward sequence here, coming through here, is you're stepping back, you're coming back up here, joining the sword, sinking it down, and we say in this case you sink it into the water and then you thrust it forward to come out of the water. And so there's also a turning of this. The sword comes back, turns over, and then comes up. So you start off by pushing the dragon into the water with your palm down, and then as you come up you turn it over and it is palm up as it extends forward. The left hand comes here to join and then extends forward to block. So it is lifting up out of the way so that you can pierce forward with the strike. So again, looking like this, coming from Black Dragon, whips its tail, stepping back with the right, sinking down, standing forward, and thrusting through. You are in a mountain climbing stance, a left bow stance here. You're in your standard weight, so 60% of the weight here. The right leg is extended but not locked. The power comes off the back leg and comes forward. And so if you look at the tips and techniques, this is one of those good examples where you're striking forward and hitting into a bag or something like that. So you want to get that extension of the sword. You want to make sure that it sinks in and drills up through, comes back and drills up through with that. Common mistakes we see with this one is really just in terms of you're in an empty stance here. You need to make sure that you're rooted on your left leg here. So you're in a right empty stance. That should be pretty natural for you at this point. The sword is down and you're extending here. You're going to step back. You're not going to lean back. You're going to step back. So if you're properly rooted here on your left, as you step back with the right, your hips don't move. And so bringing the weight back, becoming the sword secret, putting it on the wrist or the forearm of the right arm, bringing it back, keeping the tip of the sword pointing forward. You don't want this to swing out to the side. You don't want it to swing down or swing up. So you're coming from here. You're going to lift the tip as the arm comes back. It's pointing forward, shift the weight, and then step forward and drill up. So what we see in this case is if somebody is here, they're swinging it back like this, turning it way out, okay? Or from here, just lifting it straight up. You want this transition to come back through, lifting, coming through, pointing, sinking, and thrusting forward with the sword. So that thrusting forward goes up through the center of the opponent in the front. So if you start bringing the sword out here, then you got to bring it all the way around and come in through here. So we're not looking for an outward arc like this. We're looking for a sinking, rising. It's Green Dragon emerges from the water. You want it to come up and come forward and through as it does. So we want to make sure that our transitions are good. We're stepping back naturally, shifting forward, and thrusting forward with the sword. Also making sure this is a block. If you just put your arm up here, there's no intention of a block. You want to make sure that this lifts as you're coming forward and thrusting too. So you see this turning of the waist and coming up through. It's not just put it here, put it here. There's no power there, there's no emphasis, there's no intention with that particular movement. We want to see the actual intention coming up in and through that. The application in this case, you have pierced down, and I'll do it from this angle just so that you can see this. What you're doing is you are stepping back, deflecting up, reaching back in, and then as the spear comes forward in through you, you have to lift it up out of the way. This is like Fair Lady works with shuttles. You are lifting it up out of the way and then turning and twisting the sword up and in. So the most important part of this is obviously to block that out of the way. So if you come back through here and thrust and you don't block correctly, there's no point. The spear is right in your chest, so you can't come around and do the cut. So we want to see a good lifting and separating as you're going forward. So that application means you have to move this out of the way and then come back up in and through with the pierce. They need to be coordinated, and you need to drive the power off your back leg as you come forward. Not just a sticking it out, not a lifting, not a too far back so that it tenses up. You want to come up through and strike. So lift and thrust is what you're looking for that particular movement. The before and after sequence on this is the second sequence. So the very first one is we're going to do Black Dragon, whips its tail, we step back, step forward, and thrust through. And then the next movement is turn and carry the sword. So you come through, whip around, and strike through. And we'll get to that one next. So you see that transition as you go through those three particular movements. So follow along with me, and I'm going to do this one forward so that you get the true feeling of this within the particular movement. We're obviously going in this direction within the actual form, but let's go ahead and let's do this one facing so that you can see that thrusting coming up through as part of this. So from here, and back. Thanks for watching.